Joining us now for more on the election race is Michael Geoghegan, a political consultant based in Victoria, British Columbia. Michael, great to have you on. So we just heard Nick Nanos talking about the R word, the recession. I mean, earlier in the week, there was the big discussion. Are we in a recession? Are we in a recession? And then this tragic photo of a little boy's body washed ashore in Turkey changed everything. How is this migrant crisis changing our election campaign right here at home?
Well, it's of course shocked the world, and at the same time, I think really galvanized a lot of attention on what's happening. These millions of people fleeing violence in Syria, and so what it's done in terms of the election is it's put Harper in the crosshairs in terms of, well, how is Canada responding to this crisis? And it's been rather frustrating for the Prime Minister because he feels that part of the reason that we have CF-18s over there is to help fight ISIS and thus reduce the number of Syrians that, in theory, need to flee the country. That's the perspective he's bringing to it. But I think what Canadians are looking for is just a more straight-up humanitarian approach, which is not to say that military intervention isn't required, but it is time to deal with this crisis and for Canada to do its fair share.
But we saw David Cameron, we saw the UK Prime Minister switch his tune on this and deciding to let more Syrian refugees in. Do you think it's possible that Stephen Harper could do the same?
I mean, anything's possible in an election campaign, particularly with more polls showing the Conservatives now in third place. So anything is possible. But I think it's also one where, Stephen Harper, first and foremost, he's about Canada's security. And one of the things that he's concerned about is that you may have, Islamic extremists, is in essence portraying themselves as refugees and them getting into the country, and so that's a nightmare scenario that he doesn't want to encounter either. So for him, it's this question of how do I show dealing with the crisis, but at the same time not open up Canada to further terrorist acts.
You suggested that you think the pulse of Canadians on this topic is more humanitarian work, letting more people in. So what are your thoughts in terms of how the NDP versus the Liberal are approaching this issue?
Well, I think the Liberals have definitely seized the initiative on this. The NDP got some flack in terms of the way in which they portrayed the visa application process that had happened, suggesting that an NDP MP had forwarded when in fact he had not to the immigration minister. So there's been a bit of blowback on the NDP between the Conservatives and them. On the Liberal hand, we've just seen Justin Trudeau make an announcement in terms of doing the kind of processes that we did before, most notably in 79-80 with the Vietnamese refugee crisis, where we put teams in place and directly airlifted about 60,000 refugees to Canada. So I think that kind of initiative is giving credibility to Justin Trudeau.
For a number of weeks, we were saying that it looked like the number one topic for this election would be the economy. Is that still the case?
Well, I think it's now a close number, too. And again, it's been a real string of bad luck for Prime Minister Harper. Canada is now technically in a recession, and to which people would say, well, that's like being technically pregnant, where you're either in one or you're not. And so it's a situation where, again, his stewardship of the economy, how the middle class is doing, those are all themes that both, Mulcair of the NDP and Trudeau of the Liberals have pounced upon.
Michael, always great to get your insight. Thanks so much, Michael Geoghegan, a political consultant based in Victoria, BC. Thank you.
Thank you.